So yesterday, big news event, current events, all that. I'm sure you've heard about it by now. Obviously you have because we've just talked about it. This is just a little video, and then we're going to talk about this journal prompt immediately after. Let's see, can we get the sound going again?
And you could see he was like shooting with a knife and was gushing blood everywhere.
She just called me frantically speaking that some kids got stabbed in the school. She never spoke to me like that. And that's why I just got off the phone right away and I was down here as soon as I could.
20 people now injured in a massive stabbing attack. Here's what we know. It happened just after 7 this morning at Franklin Regional Senior High School. That's about 15 miles east of downtown Pittsburgh. A male student is now in custody. He's being questioned. Four of the students out of the 20 who were injured were flown to hospitals. At least 2 of them were sent straight to surgery. That's how severe their injuries were.
We did receive 7 patients from the scene who were teenagers and an adult person additionally. 2 of the patients are right now in the operating room, and the 3rd one is being transported to the operating room at this point. These are all patients who had stab wounds of the chest and abdomen.
While victims are being treated at 4 hospitals in the area, other students are being reunited with their parents. They were held at another school until their parents could pick them up. They are not allowed to leave on their own. But the high school itself is now an official crime scene.
His name is Alex Reibel. According to the criminal complaint, he's a 16-year-old male sophomore here at the school, and these are the charges that he faces: 4 counts of criminal attempt, criminal homicide, 21 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of weapons possession on school property.
So that's the newest update that we have.
What's that, dog?
On it.
That goes, man.
Lots of information still going to come out as time goes on with this thing. We won't know the status of all of the people that were involved for quite some time, but their wounds were critical. It wasn't good. Some of them had issues with going into surgery right away because of low blood pressures and things like that. But that's great. So that brings us to the journal prompt. Given the recent stabbings and shootings, and all of them throughout history that you're aware of, do you feel safe? Why and why not? I mean, obviously, why or why not is going to be pretty, but I want you to put some thought into it. And then how do these shootings and stabbings and bombings impact our lives? So, like we talked yesterday in the classes, especially I think it was 7th period with like Nano. How many times do we see Nano running down the hallway, jumping over people, slapping people as he goes by? It happens so fast that you don't even know what's happening. So we have this attitude, and that's the attitude I got a lot of yesterday. Well, that wouldn't happen here because I'd stop the guy. That happened so fast they didn't even know what was going on before they could stop this thing. So we need to get out of the mindset that we're invincible. That's just not the way it works. The one over spring break was at Fort Hood in Texas that killed 3 people and injured 16. That was over an administrative leave thing. Guy goes in, says, you know, I need some time off to deal with a family issue. The person in charge said, well, it's going to have to wait, and he went on a shooting rampage. So we don't really know what's in the mindset of other people. We don't know if the guy standing next to us has had a bad day, or even you this morning, you know, I'm not in the mood to deal with it today. Now, you told me. That's good. Not everybody talks about it, not everybody expresses themselves in that manner. They wait until it gets to this point, whatever was going on with this kid, whatever was going on with the guy at Fort Hood, whatever was going on with the guys that did the Boston bombing about a year ago. So we're starting to see that stuff pile up. Columbine's about this time of year, we just see this big influx. The shooting in Aurora, couple years ago in the summer with the guy who's acting like Joker, we have these extremes. We have the guys that we can say, yeah, I can probably see that. He looks a little crazy. But then we have this kid. He looked like a normal sophomore kid, other than the fact that he was in a jumpsuit and handcuffs. And that was all the comments yesterday was he was a shy kid. But he wasn't bullied, he wasn't picked on, he wasn't that kid they would have expected this out of. But it's happening in more than just schools. It's happening in more than just shopping malls. It happens a lot in shopping malls. You're at athletic events, it can happen. You're going to the movies, it can happen. I'm not trying to get anybody to be afraid to leave their homes. You know, I can't get out of my bed because I might get shot or stabbed today. But that's what we call situational awareness. You need to be aware of the world around you, the people around you, and that yes, bad things can happen anywhere. So that's what I want you to write about with your journal prompt. Do you feel safe? Not just in school, but everywhere, especially with the money coming in. I've already heard it. I've seen it on Facebook. There's rumors flying. There's people talking. And that's not an issue of race at all. It's just the way things go. Anytime somebody gets, anybody, a large group of people get a sum of money like that. Most of the people that I have on my Facebook are anticipating bad things happening, but mostly between family members. You know, there's going to be this family squabble and this family squabble. All the stuff that's going on intertribal now with the Shoshone and Arapaho tribes. If you've been watching that stuff on County 10, they did post a video of the Shoshone General Council meeting. I don't know if it's still up or not. I'm sure at some point that will get taken down. But now we have this tension going between the Arapaho and the Shoshone, given the article that what's his name said, and I know how you feel about that.
Yes.
That guy, well, being that, though that's your relation. So I don't really want to get into like the specifics on that because I don't want your blood pressure to go up. But you know, we have these problems now, and then we have this rumor that Arapaho are going to get their money before the Shoshone because of all this, and that's going to create this tension, and it already has. If you read the article on County 10 yesterday about what this Wade LeBeau has said, it doesn't paint a very good picture of really anything. And it's historical. He's going back to the Treaty of Fort Bridger with his statements and his arguments. And that's causing a lot of problems. So if and when this money comes in, if and when things happen, or just how it goes, once more and more people get a hold of this video, tensions are going to rise. All of these guys have said, on both sides, both the LeBeau, Posey, and Martel, and you could probably attest to that, have received a lot of threats to their families, are afraid in this sense to leave because they're afraid that they're now a target. Now that doesn't mean that any single one of them is going to come out and start shooting people, but it's something that we need to take into account. You mentioned Jesse not feeling safe with his kids being in school. And that can be a really big deal too. Your parents, well not so much yours because your dad works here, but send you out to school every day thinking that you're going to be safe for 8 hours a day, 180 days in a year. They don't want to have to think about the fact that something bad could happen that's totally out of their control, that's totally out of your control. And those of us that have experienced those bad things in our lives, people being taken from us prematurely, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles, it sucks in a lot of ways, but it sucks even more when somebody is taken from us that is at the fault of somebody else. That makes things a lot more difficult to try and swallow. So with these parents having their kids stabbed, no fatalities yet, but in all these cases of school shootings and bombings, think about what that does to the parents, the guardians, the brothers and sisters. It's sad enough to lose somebody, but to have them taken in such a way where they're assumed to be safe all the time, it's a tough nut to swallow. So write on your journal on that.
What is
Yes,
this?
sir. That's a Mac book.
Yours?
The schools.
They still deal with Mac?
Yep.